Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of How Did This Get Booked? I, of course, am your host, Jake Manning, and I am a veteran of the professional wrestling business. I've been in the professional wrestling business for over a decade, and I've held every single job except selling popcorn. And, of course, I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Zane Riley. Zane, how are you doing today?
Fabulous, Jake. How are you?
Okay. Wonderful holiday season, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir. I'm alive. I made it. One more year.
One more year.
Closer to the end.
But anyways, moving right along, as always, we are joined by a non-wrestling fan here today. We are joined by comedian Todd Riley. Todd, thank you much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me, man.
We start off, as always, when we have a non-wrestling fan, we kind of want to gauge what their background, their knowledge, their exposure to professional wrestling.
Okay.
What is yours, Todd?
Well, I watched it when I was a kid. I haven't watched it in a long time, but when I was growing up, you know, like on Sundays, they'd have it for like a half hour. Afterwards, was it like WWF and all that good stuff? I watched a little bit of that. As it went throughout the years, it kind of faded out and stopped watching it. But, I mean, I like it. Just watching this brought it back a lot.
It was like an acid flashback.
Yeah,
in
it was
a sense.
like a lot of nostalgia, and I was like, it sticks with you. Like, the next person that's rude to me, I just want to hit him in the face with a chair. Like, that's what I want to... How do you not now?
Yeah.
I almost elbow dropped my girlfriend on the way out.
Yeah, well, that's 90% of what ECW was chair shots.
It was awesome.
And hitting girls.
Yeah, I saw that. See, I think it's in my head now. I didn't know what it was.
Hitting women.
They didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, maybe that was something why all the ECW wrestlers get into trouble. It's not the CTE, it's just the violence they were producing.
This is just how I was raised.
I was going to ask about the concussion protocol, but
how
many chairs to the head before you can come back next week? 30?
Back then?
Yeah.
Oh, infinite number.
Yeah.
Take them all.
As many as possible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was during the era when people got mad at you for putting your hands up to protect yourself.
Yeah.
So, but Todd, who were some of the guys that when you talk about like when you watched as a kid, who were like some of the top guys? Like
I liked Ultimate Warrior a lot. I liked Razor Ramon a little bit, like before he had a meltdown. But those were some. But guys, kind of like characters, like the characters. Like if they were good and they had a good character, it was fun to watch. I'm trying to think. And now, of course, we're talking about, I can't remember. Who are the guys, the Bushwhackers?
Yeah.
Like, we used to do that around the house as kids, like maniacs all the time. That was fun.
Just lick people's faces?
Not cool. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
only in Halloween. Yeah, when we dressed up. But it was, some people like that, I guess. And then, obviously, the Hulk Hogan thing was huge. But when everybody likes one person, kind of go a different direction. So I went Ultimate Warrior style in that.
Yeah, it seems like you were kind of a rebel if you liked Ultimate Warrior, because everybody liked Hulk Hogan.
Right?
Like, no, man, Ultimate Warrior is my guy.
Exactly, that was
you.
me.
You were that kid on the playground.
I was.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm not going to be like everybody else. I'm going to paint my face and do steroids at 12.
I'm going to run the full length of this playground and shake stuff.
All right. Well, we're ready to jump into the show real quick?
Let's do it.
All right. The particulars for this show. It is ECW's Hardcore Heaven 97. It took place on August 17th, 1997 in the War Memorial Auditorium in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It is ECW's second offering on pay-per-view, and the attendance was 1,800 people, which is more than the last pay-per-view, which was in the ECW arena, which usually averaged about 1,200 at capacity.
Wow.
So,
it seemed like more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's one of the critiques we're probably going to get into is how this show was presented. Because let me also, I'm glad you brought this up because it leads me to what I need to preface before we get into this conversation. Okay. Todd, you got to see one of the original pay-per-view feeds.
Right.
Now, Zane, you got to see the network
I watched
version.
the network.
Because there are two different versions
Okay.
of this show now in existence.
Oh, wow.
ECW was notorious for using copyrighted music without asking permission, which is a big no-no today.
Okay.
And that is why on the WWE Network feed, all of the copyrighted music is more or less edited completely out, which we're going to be talking. So I had to watch both versions.
Okay.
So I might be having two different conversations at the same time. But
cool.
It's the interesting thing about ECW is that was one of its strong suits was they used whatever the hottest music was, like Metallica Black Album was hot.
Okay.
Like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, like all of the really cool music of the early 90s is incorporated in ECW, and that's part of the reason why it was so successful. And they just put it on pay-per-view and just through like regard to copyrights out the window.
Right, got you.
And that's kind of what you saw was
like
this.
that.
But also too, there was exactly that's probably
I do.
and you're kind of at the perfect age. Like I'm guessing, you're in your 30s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the best time to watch ECW. Like I was too young to get it when I was a kid.
Okay.
It just looked really dangerous.
Right.
But then I started to go through the entire catalog in my 30s, and that's like the best time to watch.
You get a little
ECW.
older and jaded. Like I said, you want to hit somebody in the face with a ladder.
And that's exactly exactly, and that's what this is. It's very hard, aggressive, professional wrestling.
It was a good day for me.
Got a lot of aggression.
I did. I was like, wow. Could do that? No, it's great. It was fun.
But that's the thing. That this show is marred with a lot of like errors technically and stuff like that, which have been cleaned up in the network version.
Yeah.
But at the same time, too, they've removed some of the cool elements of the music and some other things out of it.
Okay.
Like all the cussing.
But
Terry Funk still gets in a couple motherfuckers too. So
there was some good ones in there.
Yeah.
I was like, flashbacks, like thinking about what year it was, and I was like, can they do that? Like, oh my god!
Somebody's gonna get shut down.
I was like, I don't care, but if I was 11 and was watching on pay per view, I think my mom been like, can you mute it?
Cut that off right now.
Yeah, don't stop watching. Just mute it.
Yeah, just mute it.
I don't care that I just paid $30
just don't
for that.
swear.
Just
Is that
don't
how much
swear.
it was back then? That was one of my questions.
It probably would have been like $15-$20 area.
So it was like
For
two bucks.
ECW?
ECW, it's tough to say. I think
30
they were in the
bucks?
30 to
Were
40
they?
range.
Woo!
Maybe
Seems
they
like a
were
lot,
because I think ECW.
Well, it's 2.5 hours though.
Yeah, because WWE big events I think were $40 at this time.
Okay.
I don't think it was quite up to 50, but like the in your houses that were going on at this time were like $15-$20.
Yeah.
So I imagine ECW probably landed somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
So because like this wasn't really an in your house, but it's like their big pay-per-view, and it was such a high demand for them being on pay-per-view. I never got the specifics on that in my research.
That's all right. Well, no, it was $2 a minute to watch Shane and Jameson in the locker room.
Right?
I was like, jeez, better get after it quick at $2 a minute.
Yeah,
Well, so
hurry
that's
up,
the
guys.
thing too. Todd's bringing up the ECW hotline, which is not on your network.
You didn't
No,
see
it's
that
not.
part? Oh, it was on mine, buddy. Like 3 times.
Man.
I almost called and I remember what year it was.
Yeah. She might still be there. You can probably still get a hold.
Yeah.
Some tells me you can still get a hold
It
of
was
Jim
good to-
Jameson right now
it's
for
good to
$2 an hour.
Yeah, $2 a minute, sir.
Minute, I'm sorry, $2
Yeah,
a minute.
$2
$2 an hour.
I wrote it down.
Call her right now.
It was good to see her.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen her in so long.
Looking so good right then.
especially at that time.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
But anyways, the show starts off with Joey Styles in-ring promo, which is interrupted by Rick Rude.
Yeah.
Todd, do you
Ravishing.
remember Rick Rude at all?
Ravishing Rick Rude, yeah.
Yep.
I heard as soon as I heard his voice, because I don't remember when I first turned it on if they said his name yet, but I heard his voice and I was like, that voice, it's a wrestling voice. Then I knew who it was. But I didn't, it was, at the timeline of it, like the coming off the back injury, and I don't remember all that, but I do remember him as a character as far as that goes.
And definitely not a PG version of him on this pay-per-view.
Not at all. Nothing was PG. It's great.
No airbrush pants and hip swivels here.
No, it
Those
was
sweet ass mullets.
no, it was good. It was cool. But sweet voice. God, what just an awesome in the ring talking mess voice. I liked it. It was a good start.
Strong mustache.
I was gonna say it, but I'd let you have it.
I can always appreciate that.
Brethren.
And when Todd Gordon gives him the 10 count, he goes, "Fuck you, Gordon."
Yeah,
It's just,
perfect.
That's
That's when I knew I was in for a good treat for 2.5 hours. It's like good start.
Yeah.
It's a good. Hey, this is where we're going today. Let me know.
I'm captivated.
Yeah, I'm in.
Best first sentence.
I think it was like "fuck you, Gordon," and then they played the entrance video. It was just typical
ready.
ECW. Which at this time, Rude is not wrestling, but he's one of the
Right.
hottest things going because 6 days before this pay per view happened, he'd returned to WWF in a manager capacity.
Okay.
And then a few months later, he appeared on a taped version of Raw. But earlier in that Monday night, he appeared live on WCW Nitro because he wasn't under a full-time contract.
Gotcha. So
And what he did is he shaved. He had that full beard
Okay.
on Raw, but the thing is on Nitro, which was live, he shaved his beard and just had the mustache. So if you're turning into Nitro, you obviously know that Nitro's live and Raw is taped because Raw, just like a complete shit disturber.
Is that why he did it?
Yeah, that's
It's because
exactly
he
what
wanted to let you know that it was taped and instead of live and we're gonna. Nah, okay. All
he
right.
stirs things up.
Maybe he's just
like
fed
that.
up with the business at that point.
Yeah.
Just beat up and fed up with the business. Let me just show you how it's done.
Yeah,
I
he's
don't know.
well, at this time he's still collecting the Lords of London insurance for his back
Oh,
because
okay.
he was a lot of the wrestlers got insurance on their bodies from Lloyd's of London. And they don't do that anymore, obviously, because a lot of guys collected a lot of money from that.
I bet they banked on that, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, like, he was one of those guys that was collecting a considerable amount of money. And, like, he was gearing up for a return, but, of course, he passed away in 1999. So, But, moving right along to match number 1, which consists of Chris Candido versus Taz for the ECW TV title. Now, Zane, you got to see the piped-in copyright-free music.
It's all so bad. Like, I wish I could figure out how to explain it. It's like, so if you try to explain to me some song I've never heard, and you're trying to hum it, and you're like a million miles away from the actual song, it's every fucking match that way. Except for Tommy Dreamer's. Tommy Dreamer's is almost dead on as normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're all just like weird copyright thing where you got to hear Back in Black when Chris Candido comes out.
Right.
But they did keep Taz's original song in the network feed as well.
Okay.
So like they edited, because Taz used to come out to War Machine, which they basically just ripped off for his entrance song for ECW and just put like him speaking words over top of it. So, but yeah, what are your thoughts on this match, Todd, to open up the paper?
Seemed like a good start, but a pretty basic match. Nothing like... I like the high-flying stuff, like when dudes are jumping off the top ropes and flying around all over the place. This was more of like a smash in the face, roll around, get out of the ring, back in the ring, and pin somebody. But it was good. It was fun. It was a good start for me to watch it.
Now, what are your thoughts on Taz? Because at this moment in time, like Taz has such an aura around him as a guy that's like a big fight atmosphere, as Paul Heyman would describe him. At this time, this is before like every indie wrestler in the world is trying to be a fake MMA guy. Like Taz is really like the first guy that was like, no, I know how to do certain reversals and submissions that you don't get to see anywhere else.
Oh, really?
Did you get that sense that he was some sort of a badass?
No, not at all. It seemed like a basic dude to me. I don't know. He just stood there, acted tough for a minute, and then they rolled around for a little bit, and it didn't seem like that type of aura for me. But I know nothing about either one of those dudes.
But I want to know as a common fan. That's why we have this podcast. Because that was what people always said. I never got that sense of like until like very late. Like I saw more of his matches, I'm like, oh, I see what they were talking about, that big fight atmosphere. But as just a layman that walks into it, I don't know if that's something that you saw.
It seemed like a basic first match to me. It seemed like a starter, like the one that you start off with where neither one's like a huge deal, but they know who they are. Yeah. That's what it seemed like to me.
He's also never really like taller than anybody else.
They're not like overwhelmingly
he's big and Candido's jacked as shit, but Taz isn't necessarily like
Undertaker,
taller than anyone else, so he doesn't ever come off as that intimidating.
Well, Candido's fairly, shorter in stature.
Exactly, yes.
So, like, those two...
they are... But I thought it was a fantastic match, because I think Chris Candido's awesome.
Yeah,
even if the fuckery at the end of the Enziguri spot that missed and all that, favorite part is that Joey talks about how Candido's top rope powerbomb is named after somebody special in his life. Assumedly Sonny.
Yes.
Who just, and reverse Blumpkins and...
I was going to say, the dude nails the whatever moves they were, whoever the announcer is.
Yeah.
He gets, like, I don't remember watching it and hearing all them name all the moves like that. Like, when you watch MMA now, they know the submissions, but he was calling every single move. And I was like, oh, that's what it's called. Oh, that's what it's called.
Okay, so Joey Styles' commentary, you appreciate?
I did. I liked it a lot. I mean, obviously, it's in the 90s, so you're a little bit like... overly into it pay-per-view, but like I liked how he called everything. That was cool.
Okay, that's good to know. Good to know that Joey Styles translates.
So, love Joey Styles.
Yes,
it was fantastic.
Great. Despite what the internet community says about him now. So
I could be wrong, but I just saying that was cool for me. And then he called everything off of every move that happened off the ropes, whatever they did. He had a name for it, and I like that rather than just like, oh, they ran into each other. It was spot on. I was like, oh, that's what it's called.
And doing it by himself.
Yeah.
Time, they were
Nobody
like teams.
Yeah.
But for him to call it by himself.
The whole thing by himself. Yeah, all day.
Then he makes one Trump reference at an independent show, and the whole fucking world goes mad, and nobody wants to use him anymore.
That's another reason why it's nice to watch 1997 again.
So they didn't give a shit back then.
No, 90s were pure.
Well,
underrated decade, my friend.
They weren't all pure because Insane Clown Posse.
Caught me off guard. I did not expect that.
2 scoops of whoop coming your way.
Maybe at their peak in this time. I don't.
That's to say that there was ever like a
Peak.
Yeah, I guess to say that they got good at some point. I'm still bitter.
Were they dropping albums at this point?
Huh?
Were they dropping albums at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have been putting out the stuff.
The stuff.
You handed it
That's
out
what
to the
we're
kids
gonna
because
call
soon thereafter they had a greatest hits album come out.
Oh, okay.
And not to show my juggaloism from high school, which I wasn't. But
Yeah. Do you have a Hatchet Man tattoo?
I do not. Of all the shitty tattoos I have, I don't have a Hatchet Man. I've got my vegan tattoo and I've got my straight edge tattoo, but no juggalos. I'm eating steaks and getting hammered, guys.
Jealous.
Yeah.
But so, what are your thoughts on ICP getting their ass handed to them?
Who was it? I can't. No, remind me who was, because it happened kind of quick.
Rob Van Dam
And
Sabu.
Oh, okay, yeah, and then that dude with the freaking whistle.
Yeah.
I wanted to DDT him the whole time. Like, it was awful with the whistle.
With my girlfriend.
I couldn't tell if it was a whistle or him just blowing through his teeth. Like, those are a mess. It was. I mean, I was trying to figure out who everybody was at that point, and then the Van Dam dude's pretty. I think other than he's probably like, I don't know what his opinion was, but he reminded me like a Shawn Michaels type, but a little bit bigger. So I kind of digged his wrestling style. Once we'll get into the other one later when it was him a Heads Up with Al Snow, which was probably one of my favorites that we watched on that one.
Yeah.
But it was cool. It was quick. It was a nice touch. I was just so caught off by the fact. I think it took me a few minutes to go, is that? When they said Insane Clown Posse, I was like, is that the same one?
Yeah. Is there more posses of Insane Clowns?
Because I don't really know. Like, I'm going to miss. I don't really remember the wrestling part of it. I remember hearing about the albums and stuff, but I didn't know they were actually wrestlers. Yeah. And it took me a few minutes to go, okay, maybe it is the same one, and then it was over. It was cool.
They actually have like their own wrestling company now.
Oh wow!
They put on shows. They have the big gathering of the Juggalos that they have a wrestling show at every year.
Which means they have wrestled on before.
Is everybody's face painted?
Everybody
like
that's
almost
going
everybody?
to it. It's like any scene from like Demolition Man where they showed the outside world and it was all the shit and dirty and trash was blowing everywhere.
Perfect.
It's that all the time.
It's like Mad Max Fury Road with like no budget. Yeah. Like,
nice.
And there's no one hot like Keira Knightley there. So.
But actually,
we snuck a Keira Knightley reference into this podcast.
I don't fuck around when it comes to this, bud.
We're trying to get listens. We're trying to get listens on this.
Hashtag Keira Knightley.
$2 a minute. We'll mention it again.
That's right. So I've been going to the Jameson and.
Shoot. Fresh.
Actually, almost. I don't know if Zane remembers that. I almost wrestled one of the members of ICP.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because it was supposed to be in that big 10-man that I did,
gathering
the Juggalos. Yeah. I can't remember. Is it Violent? Yeah, it's Violent and Jay was supposed to be in it. But like the generators for the wrestling show, because they hold the wrestling shows at like 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow!
And the lights generator was going to explode. And so they're like freaking out, and they're just trying to get this 10-man tag done in 3 minutes. It was the most absurd thing ever. So, but on the show, and they were on ECW, WCW, and WWF at this time. So, moving right along to match number 2, Spike Dudley versus Bam Bam Bigelow. Once again, more fantastic copyright-free music instead of listening to Highway to Hell for Spike Dudley and Welcome to the Jungle by GNR for Bam Bam Bigelow.
Right, I remember that song. I was one I was going to bring up.
This match gave me CTE just watching it.
Good God. I don't know how early it was when he chucked him all the way across the mat, but I was like, that hurt no matter what. That dude got thrown all around. Why did they rematch it?
Because he beat him.
I know.
Spike Dudley beat him.
How? I was like, how did that happen?
Nowhere near the way that Bam Bam Bigelow got his revenge on him.
No, not at all. He chucked him all over the place into the 6th. Dude, it was painful to watch. I'm like, I was one of those where I was like, I don't care what you think about this sport. That dude is hurting.
Yeah, he's fucked up.
And they look like, 4 times his like size and weight, and just throwing him through him. There was even one where I was like, good God.
You're just in your living room screaming, holy shit, holy shit.
Wow. Like, shout out to the dude for taking it, being thrown all over the place, but.
As we learned from another. wrestling related documentary or whatever. He was some sort of teacher, wasn't he?
Yes.
Spike
Dudley was an English teacher.
English teacher.
That makes a lot of sense.
Explains it all.
Yep.
That's what you do with an
Just
English
thinking
degree.
about those, thinking about those kids as he gets chucked through the air. Like, this is better than my other job.
Kids are crazy.
Like, yeah, why not?
Just raining blood everywhere.
Remember when our teacher got body slammed by Bam Bam Bigelow?
Got cut.
Show him some respect.
Yeah. He didn't fuck around.
No,
Somebody will throw him at us.
Good. I thought that was an actual medic out there afterwards.
Well, it probably had to be at that
I
point.
thought it was like they really need to check on this guy.
He's dying.
No, he didn't even get one elbow in the beginning.
No.
And he came up and hit him with like one elbow, and after that, it was just watching him get thrown around like a dog and a stuffed animal, like throwing it around the room. It was awesome, but also like, ouch.
Just beats the piss out of him. For
He does.
5 minutes.
Is that how? It wasn't that long.
Yeah, it was a 5 minutes.
Anyway,
5 minutes and 5 seconds.
Okay, yeah. And I remember Bam Bam Bigelow, but I don't remember him chucking around a teenager like that.
Throwing around a small child.
That's something you would have remembered.
Yeah, that sticks with me now. I was like, oh, every time I
now
see
I'm scared.
Yeah.
Well, now you have that to carry around with you the rest of your
Every time I
life.
see a huge dude, I'm gonna be like,
That motherfucker will throw me.
yeah, hard.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he took it easy on him.
Or reverse, you'll see a small child and you'll be like, I could throw that little shit.
Hey, Spike, get over here.
Come here.
Your new name is Spike. Yeah, you are in a minute.
Yep.
Todd's having flashbacks
Yeah. It's PTSD right here.
from watching 2.5 hour.
One match.
I should not watch too much.
Too much aggression built
Then
up.
go to
over
Harris
this.
Teeter and just body slam people in the beer aisle.
Ooh, yeah.
But I love how Bam Bam throws Spike into the crowd and then just does a cartwheel.
Yeah, so yeah.
Just to celebrate.
Like it's a dude that can't do a backflip.
Yeah.
He just does a cartwheel and like.
Like, I just did the most badass thing ever, and now I'm going to do something that, like, the girls in the playground do.
Let me go to the opposite end of the spectrum. Cartwheel time, motherfuckers.
All the girls in Spike's class are going to be doing cartwheels for the rest of them. Well, that was weird.
He's going to be, like, balled up in a corner, sucking his thumb every time he sees a cartwheel from now on.
It did stand out. Definitely. I was like, why did he just do that?
And then that super
I kind of wish you got beat
moonsault
now. I
later.
kind of wish you got beat by the little guy because you ruined it by doing a cartwheel.
Wish you broke your fucking your wrist there.
Yeah. I thought maybe that was his comeback. He
Yeah.
does a cartwheel, breaks both of his arms, and
Oh,
gets
no.
pinned.
Yeah.
Spike wins.
That'd be great. Somebody book that.
Well, this match does bring up some interesting points and some interesting research that I found out about this show. I talked to Mike Johnson, who is ECW aficionado, because he was there. He reported on this online. And he was telling me, and this is probably a lead into a lot of our discussion, at least for the next couple minutes, about how they used a production truck that was like a backup production truck, and they couldn't communicate on the headsets properly to each other. So that's why there's a lot of errors with some of the shots and why they were stuck on the hard camera quite a bit. And reportedly, like Mike always cites this match as being an example of that, because they almost missed like Spike being thrown into the crowd. They almost missed the camera shot on that.
Okay.
And then also, too, they changed the lighting guy just before this show. So they had a brand new lighting guy who put a lot of shadows on the ring. That's why it looks very dark. And also, too, the lights in the arena are shining down to the people in the front row. So if you brought a front row ticket, all you have are these bright lights directly in your eye, blinding you in sight of the ring. So if you bought a front row ticket, it was almost impossible to see. And then also, too, at the end of this match, they left it on the hard camera for like a really long amount of time, and they didn't know how to switch it or change it to the next segment, which I'm glad they did, because you get to see them cleaning up the blood with the dirtiest mop of all time.
Was there any water on it?
No,
it just brought the
let's
dry
just get a
mop in
pull
here.
out.
Well, first off, he didn't even get in the ring to do it. He just like stood outside the ring and was like doing this. I was like, you got to get in there and try.
A little bit of elbow grease in there, bud. Get Spike out here. He'll do it right.
Yeah, bring him back. He has to mop to keep his job after that performance.
Hey, you got a lot of blood everywhere. You think you can clean that up for us real fast? It's
Real
kind of
quick.
gross for someone else to have to do it.
We're going to cut away this 2 minute.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll go to
Jenna Jameson for 2
Yeah.
minutes while you clean it up.
James, pull your boob or something. Just one.
Slip a nip.
Yeah. Oops.
But they did cut away to a segment back to Rob Van Dam and Sabu finishing their attack on ICP, and Sandman coming down to the ring and then beating the shit out of him.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on them beating the shit out of the Sandman? Who probably looked like a fan to you.
Well, I'm sure he's like a legend or something.
Yeah.
I was like,
or something for sure.
Well, he just came in there swinging the bamboo stick or whatever he was holding for like just missing everybody. I was like, oh, buddy, no, don't do that. And then it's just coming off back surgery or something. Right?
Yeah, or
something like that.
I mean, back surgery.
Too many beers.
Yeah, the back surgery for Sandman might be like he hurt his back and he took a shitload of cocaine.
Okay.
Like that's about like
it's surgery.
That's surgery for him.
Swinging that thing around. Obviously, we'll get back to him later because that was when I started giggling hard at the end of it when he makes
the triumphant return.
Yeah, I just lost it. I was like, oh, buddy, you did good. I don't know.
Had right where you wanted
maybe
it.
we'll talk about the ambulance not having GPS back then. It ruined that whole story too. But yeah, because it did cut. Because I was kind of lost, and then they cut back to the them finishing that up, and then all right. But yeah, it was. He like came. I was like, didn't they say he was just here trying to watch the wrestling match, being a fan? And I was like, no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Stop lying to me.
You mean as a fan, he brought that stick?
Yeah, they let him in.
He
with
was able to get in that building with that stick
past security with those pants on.
Yeah,
which is his ring gear.
Yeah,
I
know.
You were like, hey,
exactly.
I thought he's just chilling. No,
I figured. I'm not the best detective in the world, but I mean, he's not. He was not just in the stands for no reason.
Shawn Michaels level gear of just sequins and sparkles.
Comes in there swinging a cane. I think they even said cane at one point.
Yeah.
Oh man, it wasn't.
Singapore cane would have been.
It didn't even have like a hook on it. It would look like a bamboo stick. Hit somebody. Hit yourself.
Moving right along to match number 3, Rob Van Dam versus Al Snow. This is you'll get to hear random techno music if you're watching this on the network instead of Breathe by Prodigy. Unfortunately, Todd probably didn't hear anything at all during this match. This is when the audio went out.
I was like, oh no, is it going to be like this for another hour and a half?
It's gonna be
I was like, I'm going to stick with it, and the audio went out about, what is it, like, not too far into it. It was at the beginning of it, and then it went out. But I kept watching it, but luckily that match had enough for me of like I don't know him. I didn't know the dude, the Van Dam dude, but he had some like nice moves that I let are like from me. I was like, "Ooh, that's cool," you know. Or definitely if I was a kid, I'd be like, "Oh, that's cool." So it was, even though the volume wasn't on, it was okay to watch it.
Yeah.
And Al Snow's crazy. I know he was from Ohio, but it makes sense. He's from Ohio, and he just won. But I liked that match a lot. That was one of my favorite ones of the whole thing. I think back and forth, in and out of the ring, different. Like I liked it. I don't know. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he was wearing a WWF and ECW like gear. Is it just what was that for?
Was this Rob Van Dam?
Yeah.
Had the gear because he was in
Both?
Well, at this moment in time, they're doing a feud where basically Rob Van Dam is talking to, like, he was kind of left off the Barely Legal pay-per-view. He ended up getting on it, and he was saying that I'm the best guy in this company. You can respect me. And then what he was doing, and what a lot of people didn't realize was WWF was working with ECW because they needed competition, especially they figured if ECW would thrive, they would pull away from WCW, which was WWE's main competitor at the time.
Okay.
So like the enemy of my enemy is now my friend.
I got you.
Type situation. So they what they did is they put Rob Van Dam on WWF television, which made him the biggest heel in ECW. So, hey, I can be on the Monday nights, and then he called himself Mr. Monday Night, and then it was like a big thing that way. So
now, is he like considered like a villain, or was he considered was he liked at the time? Well, like what type of, I don't know.
This is during that weird time where people are still trying to honor I'm really mad at you and you're a bad guy, but at the same time too, he's supposed to be a bad guy, but he does so much cool shit.
Right.
Like nowadays, that's very common.
Yeah.
The heels do a bunch of cool shit, and it's a cool heel, but no, we're supposed to not like you.
Okay.
But Rob Van Dam was kind of the first generation of that.
All right.
I'm a bad guy, but I'm really cool.
That's exactly what I got from it. Maybe that's why it was my favorite one so far. I don't know. I liked it.
Rob Van Dam's cousin. What's up?
But
it seemed like a solid name.
Yeah.
Cool, flying around a little bit.
Oh,
and then Al Snow's a little crazy, so it was a good match. I liked that one.
Zane, your thoughts on it?
Oh, I loved it, man. It was such a good match. Which I know we actually actively discussed kind of getting away from just full-on shit show matches and do a show where we could talk more about the situations around it, the matches that like shows that have good wrestling.
Yeah.
This show definitely has good wrestling from almost top to bottom.
Yeah.
So like it was one of my favorite pay-per-views from ECW that I had seen. Period.
Yeah, but that's one of the things that's interesting about this thing. Like some of the reporters of the time, when they were at the show, they saw this show as being better than ECW's first pay-per-view, and they were seeing it as like, oh, this was probably the show of the year. Right. But then they get back and they see basically what you saw. No audio on one of the best matches on the card.
Right.
A very dark and shadowy hard camera shot. They even missed like a couple of the dives on this match alone, and there was a lot of other technical issues with some other matches. So there's a lot of like missteps as far as that goes and stuff like that. But
right.
but as a common fan, I want to know how it is, because that was another thing that was reported by some of the ECW faithful that were watching on pay-per-view.
Sure.
They were very hard on this pay-per-view because of those minor things. But as just a common person, like, hey, I want to see a wrestling show, it's curious to me your thoughts on seeing it. And what you saw was what somebody would have saw on pay-per-view at that time.
Right. And for me, though, when I'm watching it now, I didn't really expect too much out of the production part of it. Like, so that wasn't like, other than like the huge mistakes of like the no sound and stuff like that, I wasn't expecting it to look like stuff does now, or like the production value now. So I don't know how far off it was when it happened. But as far as like the wrestling part of it, was they hit everything on it. They did every aspect of like the cool technical wrestling to the, obviously we'll talk about the cheating stuff later with what's his name, Robbie Lawler dude. And then but they have every aspect of that, but the production value, so to me when I was watching it, I wasn't expecting a lot out of that anyway, but now that you mention it, it probably would have been more obvious back then compared to like what WWF or WWE at the time was doing production wise. So that was probably a problem. But for me, if like the dudes that just wanted to watch like good matches and people get smacked in the face and hot chicks and stuff, it seemed fine. It was right for me.
And that's why I want to find out, because that was another thing that people at the time like, well, maybe we're just too far in the bubble. Maybe we're being hard on something because it's something we love, like most fans and stuff like that. But like a lot of people that were in attendance saw this was like, oh, this was the show of the year. This was the best show. The matches were good. Cool. It's better than the first one. And I think Barely Legal gets a lot of play, mostly because of the Beyond the Mat documentary. So like, I think this gets lost in the shuffle, but I remember somebody telling me about this pay-per-view. They said that ECW was in verge of almost shutting down, and their positive goodwill was like going away with the crowd because of this show, which Mike Johnson told me that was not the case. Okay. They weren't going to close down because somebody was trying to tell me that November 97 was the thing that got him back in the game, which was the next pay-per-view.
Oh, okay.
But so like that was what was told to me about this show. So like I said, that's why. And then looking through the original pay-per-view feed and seeing some of the technical issues. And a lot of people describe this as a show where, because ECW's always notoriously had a much lower bar technically than a WWE or WCW at this time, but they always told me that this is like the one time that the wrestling couldn't overcome all of the production issues.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't know.
But if that's your opinion, that's what I want to know.
That's my opinion.
Because there's a lot of people that are very, because these internet people have to be crucial on it and be, a critic, and that's their job, is to be a critic on it. So as just a regular person watching this, if you don't think that's the case, then that might not be the case. No, I want to hear that different opinion.
That's what that's what I felt was watching, that it didn't take away from the whole thing. Kind of, but I also went into it with like not high expectations of production value, considering the year that it was. So I don't, what I mean? Like it's kind of, so maybe it's a little bit more off than I thought. But I don't know. There was enough in there. And part of that was humorous to me. Yeah. Part of it was funny.
You came in with more of a realistic expectation.
Right. Or like if you watch a pilot of a show and like the first couple episodes, the production value isn't quite what it is season 6. It kind of felt like that. It kind of felt like maybe like, I don't know, how old was ECW when this happened?
See, 93, so about 4 years.
3-4 years into it.
But second pay-per-view ever.
Yeah. Okay, so it's it should have been. So it just seemed like an early production for them.
Yeah, exactly.
But everything else that happened, there was a lot of funny stuff and a lot of cool moves and a lot of just good moments to keep you watching, even though it was 2.5 hours long.
That's what I want to know about this show.
Yeah.
This is why we discover these things, to discuss them. But now we need to discuss something that was not on your video, Todd, because there was no audio for it. It was the first appearance, but you can chime in because you did see a couple segments of it, of the Extreme Chopper.
I heard it.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
You didn't see the first segment of it, but yeah,
Okay.
the first segment of it was not very good at all.
Wow.
Heyman can't pay anybody's checks on time, but he can buy a fucking helicopter? You mean to tell me that ECW has a chopper?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe it. I don't buy it.
And also, a lot of criticism about this pay-per-view is because the Extreme Choppers segments, and Lance Wright basically being put up in a chopper and was told to ad-lib everything he's saying. Ad-libbing so much without even information.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, wait till Sandman comes back and gets the guys who attacked him, as if he didn't know who attacked him.
It was bad. If you're gonna have somebody ad lib, like, dude, I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah. Stop ad-libbing. Somebody write him
Yeah,
something
write
down.
anything down, because I think that they're gonna maybe possibly drive a little bit longer and then drive back. Someone should help someone find out. I was like, good. He's not. First off, he's probably on top of a building with a helicopter sign on the back.
Yeah, it's,
I don't
he's
think
got
there's an actual helicopter.
A camera doing this number so it looks like he's swaying back and forth.
Oh, he's afraid of heights.
Somebody.
He put him in a helicopter. Yeah. All right, Dave, cue the sound.
Yep.
Well, and the thing is that they're trying to coordinate with him, and the thing is, I want to say that this was done live. It might have suited them better to record these the night before,
those parts, yeah.
and then put them in like much same way of WCW when they did the
Sumo Hall.
sumo monster truck battle. Not that that show is an example of how you do production.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, like, it probably would have suited him because then they would have got exactly what they wanted from
Right.
those segments. But him just up there ad-libbing and not having any direct communication on whether they're
It was
communicating
bad.
back and forth to Joey, to the show, it was really rough. And a lot of people cite that as being definitely one of the low points of this pay-per-view.
It was. Yeah, it was the lowest point for me, and it was also like nowadays we're so jaded. I was like, just put in your GPS. Like, how you possibly
Really.
lost?
MapQuest.
MapQuest back then.
I like to think that like Paul was trying to give him some direction, and Lance was just like, "I got it, brother." Look, I didn't do 3 semesters of improv at community college to have you tell me what the fuck I'm doing in a fake helicopter.
Does he have a job after this? Did he
I don't
come
remember
back?
seeing him much after.
No,
he
he
do
didn't do
anything
much.
else?
He didn't do much after.
I
I
would
do
think.
remember one of the things after is like,
Internship is over.
Yeah.
like Taz suplexed him onto a car. Like,
Yeah.
like that might have been punishment. That might have been a year or
They
two
just
later.
never let him in the building.
The culmination of this is that the chopper actually crashed. He's dead.
Oh yeah, he fell off the building,
He's done. He
and
did.
the sound guy choked.
Yeah.
Listen, I hope he has a nice, wonderful job working at a local news station,
Yeah.
doing something these days.
Not improv, that's for sure. He's doing the traffic. It's real ironic.
That was bad. And I was like, ooh.
After the first Extreme Chopper segment, there's the Jerry Lawler promo. You didn't miss much, Todd, on it. It's pretty much basically what he said in the ring anyways, with a lot of zooming in and
okay.
out. So
Alright.
it's not a whole lot. We'll talk about it later. It's pretty same thing as what he said in the ring. Match number 4. We come back with the Dudley Boys and Joel Gertner in the ring with Jenna Jameson.
What's around his neck?
Neck brace.
Is that like I figured something happened.
Yes,
Right.
neck brace. I think he wore that. I think he still wears that.
Still
actually.
wears it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
That
long-term neck injury
Yeah.
gotcha.
Much
with the bow tie. There's also a bow tie there because he's a classy guy.
Classy neck brace.
He's the quintessential stud man.
Yeah.
So my main question about this group of characters is like, are they like a big deal for the ECW? Like those dudes are like a big, because they seem to be involved a lot, so they're
Yeah.
like a big part of it.
They're one of the top heels in the company.
Okay,
Yes.
And
top
they're
bad
champions at the time too.
right.
Yes. Like, I think this is about to be. They're about a year away from being like one of the largest drawing houses in ECW. Like, once they get to the Dudleys versus Tommy Dreamer versus the Sandman, people talk about that time as being like those are some of the best like house shows, and like they were the hottest heels, they were the hottest thing going. Like, all the house shows went up because they had to see like the Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman versus the Dudley Boys. Like, those matches were always like, we have to go see this, is the biggest thing.
Okay.
Especially after they broke Beulah's neck, and it was like 98 is when that happened. Like they were doing a lot of really good business at this time in different variations, and it was, when they kind of perfected everything, that Dudleys were the hottest thing going in the company.
Got you.
Because they wouldn't have been too far from going to WWE past that, right?
Yeah, it was it wasn't too long after that. I want to say 99.
99,
yeah, about that time.
Because they were on the 2064 video game.
Nice.
But what are your thoughts on Joel Gertner's in-ring promo, Todd?
It's fine. I don't know. It wasn't like... I was kind of okay.
This douche.
Yeah, exactly. You nailed it. That was pretty much what was going through my head. I was like, this is the time I'm going to go grab a bag of Cheetos. Pour some soda and come back and watch the wrestling in a minute. I don't really... That stuff is just fluff for me.
Okay.
Not a promo guy.
No.
Noted.
You need to write that down? Or...
Yep.
All right. Ship shape.
Noted.
Then PG-13 comes out to... you heard Jump Around. Now, Zane, you heard a song that sounded more like a copyright-free song you would use for a Latino wrestler.
Yes. Nothing in which an Irishman would jump around anywhere.
All right.
But did you get the gimmick of PG-13 when they came out, Todd? White rappers?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, kind of. It felt like it when the dude painted the camera and he was like, he knew all the words and stuff. The biggest thing that stood out for me was the dude's horrible jokes. They were so bad.
He wouldn't last 3 minutes at the comedy show.
Well, he'd probably be back every week. But,
there it is.
but I mean, they were so bad.
Every, street joke, every...
Mama Dudley is a hoe!
Oh, really? Oh, sick burn. That's the best you got. And then they got so upset about it. All those things like... Calm down. I would just be like, that's a horrible joke. Even my mom's upset at you.
That guy still does that stuff. He's still around doing it.
Yes.
Jamie?
I just saw Jamie Dundee 2 months ago.
Really?
Yes, still wrestling, still doing his thing.
We're friends on Twitter, and he is just, fuck everything!
That sounds about right. No, but they were all right, though. I mean, I wasn't, mad at them, but it was a little bit... I don't know. Did they have a clock?
No, that was a hubcap.
Oh, okay.
Same thing.
All right.
Yeah, because the idea is they steal the hubcaps and they hit you with the hubcap, and that was their finish.
Got ya.
We never got that.
We didn't get that.
They lost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They lost.
But Zane, what are your thoughts?
And then he said your mom is still a hoe.
So I'm still a hoe. Look, you beat me. Your mom still sucks a lot of dick. A lot of ethnic dicks.
Jeez.
I love PG-13, and not because of their fantastic work rate, because I always remember a time that you and I and Caleb went to Ohio, and they were on a show with us. And they had a promo at the very beginning of the show. And Jamie Dundee comes out fully dressed in his gear, like full on kick pads, all the stuff. And they argue with the tag team, and the tag team's ready to fight. And then Dundee goes, well, I'm in my courting gear right now. I'm not dressed to fight you. But he's covered in pads and his boots and all this gear.
Knee pads on.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
He's ready to wrestle.
But this is my courting gear. Oh, fuck you. You're the worst person
But the thing is, he went to the back, took his rings off, and his hat off, and then went back out.
Yep.
I'm like, yep, now I'm in my fighting gear.
Now I'm ready to go. Just gotta take this off a bit. Love him. And Wolfie D.
They had some character at least.
And now today, Wolfie D's jacked as shit though.
Is that the other dude?
Yeah, the other guy that didn't tell your mama jokes. He's massive these days.
Oh yeah, he blew up a little bit.
Well, and also too, the white rapper gimmick. Mm-hmm. How much money has that made over the years in wrestling? John Cena,
ICP's there.
Yeah, and really, Wolfie D was the first one to ever do it.
Yeah.
So he was the innovator of that, and he's basically doing John Cena's gimmick right here in 1997.
I guess now that you mention it, it kind of does remind me a little bit of it. A smaller... Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like Wolfie D, and he's the one that came up with the name PG-13, which was catchy, so you could always cut promos with it. I think this one right here is kind of a really good example of some of the issues they had of mixing the show, because I've just got a list of really crucial moments they missed camera-wise. They missed Jamie Dundee kissing Jenna Jameson, which I'm sure he would love to have on record.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A nice ringside camera angle of that.
Well, you didn't get that on the network either, show that you don't see him hop out.
I saw him slide out, and then it happened. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
That's
All right,
thank
buddy.
you for telling
Which
us, Joey.
live crowd, probably ate it up. Like I said, what we saw on videotape, not the case.
Right.
You missed the double choke slam spot.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of missed Jamie's dive, and then you missed Jenna's slap in the end.
Yeah.
So, like, everything that you paid Jen and Jameson to do,
Right.
you don't get on
fucking gone.
Yeah, you don't get a good angle of it. So, money wasted.
Yes.
Or maybe not. I don't know what they did in the locker room.
I was going to say it. I was too lost in the moment for a second. I was like, what are they doing in there?
Money well spent.
Maybe I don't want to know. Maybe I don't want to spend $2 a minute to know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd rather just wonder.
probably far nicer in your mind than it is in real life.
They're probably just sitting there, like, eating ice cream and crying.
My daddy didn't love me either.
Yeah.
We get it.
I want to go back to porn.
Heard Big Dick just hanging around. Talking about quilting.
That's his name? That's the
Big Dick Dudley.
Why did it come out with this swing with the names? He looked like a Undertaker wannabe.
Choke slamming everybody.
Yeah.
Well, he did.
Pretty big dude though.
He's got some mythical stories about him that are blanking me right now.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think there's somebody told me he got hit by a car, and he just like shrugged it off and like went about his day. Like,
How fast was the car going?
I don't know. Like, I've heard like just crazy stories about him just like getting like wrecked or something happened and he just like feats of strength or him just shrugging off like the most mortal damage ever. Like,
are they true though, or just like these stories like underground, like he just stopped a train with his shoulder?
Yeah.
These are all coming from other people. Like, I saw this happen.
Oh, okay.
He just was like,
all
yeah,
right.
whatever.
Cool.
Like,
Nice. So he's like cooler outside the ring.
Hey, you guys want to go get parfaits? What a parfait?
But yes, ECW hotline plug for the video feed that me and Todd saw. Zane didn't see it. But then we did see Sandman coming back in an ambulance, just swinging that cane around aimlessly
At the
in a dark parking lot.
Yeah. Did it break? I think he broke it.
The motliest of crews of cops ever.
I think he broke it on the second swing. I think I heard it crack, or they made a noise that it cracked, and he just kept swinging it.
Just kept going.
It looked
That's
like
when it's the worst.
he recovered greatly from the injuries from earlier in the day.
Which leads us into lights go out in the arena.
Right.
Come back. Jerry the King Lawler is standing in the ring. Todd, what do you know about Jerry the King Lawler? Like,
I remember him as the announcer on the side from later on. Like, I remember that. He was always wearing the crown, and then occasionally he would get in the ring for something stupid or sneak in, but I don't... And then I remember him being a big deal throughout all of it, but I don't... Other than that, that's about all I got.
Mm-hmm. So you get to see him do, like... I think this is kind of an example of what he does best, especially at this moment in time, like heel Lawler. Like, I think this match and this
Inside
brawl,
a crowd.
And like just like his promo bringing up, like, I talked to Stone Cold Steve
Yeah,
Austin, he said
that's
open up
good.
a can of whoop ass.
Okay.
Like, very just, it pretty much cut the same exact promo that they recorded earlier and they showed on the network.
Yeah.
So like you didn't miss much when it wasn't on your videos. So, but. Yeah, what are your thoughts of this whole match? Tommy Dreamer comes out.
These are the ones that I don't like. But I mean, I get it. I get why they do them. But it wasn't like I like like I said, the wrestling moves that like back and forth. I don't like the whole like referees down, this grabbing you by the balls. But I mean, I get it though. I get why it was there and what it was like part of it. It was ECW versus WWF or E at the time or whatever it was. So I get why they had it, but for me, it was just like I'm just kind of like watching it, waiting to see how somebody cheats at the end to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanted to get real intense.
Yeah, but like...
No. I mean, did a couple people... Is this one where a couple people like came in?
Lights go out, somebody's there.
Yeah,
lights go out,
somebody's there. Yeah.
And they kind of overdid this.
Yeah.
That's
can do one of them, but like a couple of them, I don't know.
Like the Rick Rude one didn't have that big of an impact. Like,
Jay the Snake was cool.
Which never led to anything ever.
Yeah.
Like even when Jake the Snake did come back a few years later, like almost a year later, like it didn't have any effect. Like it did get a ginormous explosion, like a big pop.
Because everybody loves him, but he was in khakis. It was awesome. Just wrestling.
But then they ended with Sunny, and like it didn't really feel like.
I feel like the Sunny one was necessary because it got you to the cat fight.
Yeah.
But I felt like you could have had...
Was it the hairspray thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I felt like you could have had Sonny come down to the ring with Lawler,
Mm-hmm.
but they're like, hey, we're already shutting the lights off 2 or 3 times. Let's just shut the lights off 2 or 3 times and have her come out.
Just save a bit of the power bill, guys.
Yeah, like... But, like, this was, like, also a big part of, like, the USWA feud that they had at the time. You know, Lawler's promo, he's basically plugging WWE's pay-per-view. Like...
Right.
Just...
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, just get... And which, like...
Even
if you're going to get
said the
heat on
date.
ECW, like, that's just one way to do it. But,
Okay.
like,
It's the way.
yeah,
The
it's
way.
the way. And, you know, this is Tommy's first pay-per-view match because
Okay.
he wasn't on Barely Legal, so this is his first big pay-per-view. You know, and I find it, like, really, really crazy that this time in wrestling that, like, Lawler is, like, he's got busted open, he's got blood. He
Right.
gigged
Yeah.
himself.
I did see that. Yeah. It was
Yeah,
pretty
and
cool.
I've wrestled
That was kinda
Lawler
cool.
like several times on indie shows, like on like fundraiser shows, like on Fridays and Saturdays, and my fear was always like I cannot give him a black eye. I can't do anything to hurt him because I don't want to be the guy that sent Jerry Lawler back to Monday Night Raw with a black eye.
Got
You know,
it.
like then I'm that guy that like fucked up.
Right.
Or the guy that
Went too hard at practice or something.
yeah,
you know what I mean?
basically
Like something like that. Like,
yeah, like I don't want to be known as that guy.
we're just sparring.
But here he's wrestling Tommy Dreamer, and he's just like, no, I'm just going to gig and hear him bleed all over the place. I'm going to show up on camera on Monday with a bandage on my head. Oh, well. Like, just a completely different, different world.
Well, that could also be what you were talking about, though. Like, they wanted the carryover.
Yeah.
So, like, if he did show up with that, then how did you get it? They still have the carryover from that.
Yeah. And that's how they had a working relationship this time, because enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right.
Anything we can say about this match other than I liked it?
Oh, yeah.
I like these
It's
things.
good.
The crowd seemed to like it.
Yeah, they do.
You know, like I said, if it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea.
No,
You know
I'm
what
still a
saying?
little different.
Like,
I get it, though.
And it's a good transition, like from the Dudley match to the coming match. It's a good palate cleanser.
yeah.
You don't want to put something on there that's going to blow the main event away. You kind of want the peaks and the
I got
valleys.
you.
So it's definitely it was a good match for what it was supposed to do. It was just a fun match because of the novelty of seeing Jerry Lawler and Tommy Dreamer fight it out.
Which is still a feud that they bring back every once in a while.
Yeah.
It shows in the Northeast, like Jerry Lawler will grab the microphone and he'll talk
I
about how
fucked
much,
you up in '97. I'm going to fuck you up again.
yeah, he'll talk about how much he hates. He's like, I still hate ECW and Tommy Dreamer, and then they'll have a match, and it's still something that I saw him do at the Mid Hudson Civic Center like a couple of years ago, and it was
Gotcha.
fantastic the whole time. So something I always bring back.
Gotcha.
But yeah, maybe a lot of one too many run-ins and stuff like that. But it's whatever.
Especially with how we're going to culminate this pay-per-view shortly.
Yes, exactly. Also, too, like, what'd you guys think of when Jake the Snake Roberts, after he did his little spot, he went to the camera and said, "Your God, he giveth, and he taketh away. My God, he giveth, but he ain't got the balls to do anything else."
Yeah.
I almost rewound it. I was trying to figure out what he said, but I was like, I gotta get this. And what?
And now that
what
you
just
know,
happened?
it still doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I was like,
It's a little wordy Austin for 316-ish. Like, he
Yeah,
could have,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
economy of words, Jake. But,
Jake 413.
yeah, like, he could have probably trimmed that down a little
And
bit.
it was probably meant to go the other way, I would think. Like, his God giveth and taketh away, but your God doesn't have the balls to do anything to me. Kind of.
Yeah, I think
would
that's
think
what
that would be more so the concept.
Very wordy, though.
But who the fuck am I to argue with Jake the Snake Roberts?
Exactly. But I feel like we should make note of that.
Definitely should. That he don't.
I'm glad you brought that up.
His head don't speak too well.
But yeah, we are now to the point where Todd saw a much cooler video for three-way dances in the history of them
Yeah.
than you did, Zane.
Oh, yeah.
When I saw it on the network, I was extremely pissed. I was like, that is the most bullshit thing I've ever seen before in my entire life.
What is this?
Because they used to use a lot of those videos used to have a lot of copyright music in them, and like, you know, the voiceover track was completely gone. They just showed you like clips from
of things,
like
yeah.
the first ever three-way dance from 1994, which. When researching this, thinking about how, like, when Joey was at the beginning of the show talking about there will be three guys in the ring at the same time, and I go, oh yeah, that's right. There is a time in wrestling history where that is
It's a novelty.
that's a novelty. Where like now it's just like one guy couldn't make it. I have this random guy.
Yeah, we're just going to throw him in there with you.
Opener 3-way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a
Yeah.
very thrown away thing right now.
It's more rare to see a singles match on indie shows these days.
This is true. This is very true. But then they got me like thinking like, what was the first ever 3-way? And then that just took me down a wormhole.
Oh, I bet.
That I feel like I should at least bring up like right now, just because I did the research.
No, like you.
Like I have a full page worth of notes. Okay?
I wrote it the fuck down and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
I'll lean back and let you have this
Yeah.
one.
Because
Tell us the story, Daddy Jake.
ECW did it in February of 1994, of course, with the same people that are going to be in this main event: Shane Douglas, Sabu, and Terry Funk. And then, of course, everybody kind of always got the praise like, "Oh, this is the first time ever," but it wasn't the first time ever. Actually, I believe Smoky Mountain in March of 1993 did a tag 3-way
Whoa!
with Rock and Roll Express, the Heavenly Bodies, Dutch Mantel, and Jimmy Golden. Also, too, prior to even 1994, in the ECW arena, but for NWA, I believe Dennis Carluzzo's Blood Feast, October 93, they had the Public Enemy versus the Rottens versus Bad Company in a 3-way.
Oh.
Now,
So they're the first to do a singles 3-way?
Yes, I believe so. And of course, immediately, several years later, WWE tried to rip it off. Obviously, because they were taking a lot of things, like taking the tables and stuff like that, and a lot of the other things, and the blood and the chair shots that ECW was doing. Now, the WWE did one in June 23rd on 1997 with Owen Hart, Triple H, and Goldust. That was supposedly the first ever 3-way in WWE, which this bothered me for a very long time because I remember when I was a big fan at this time. And I was like, no, I remember Roddy Piper talking about it in 1996. Like, no, I remember Piper talking about, like, we're going to have a 3-way match, we're going to have a 3-way match, we're going to have a 3-way match. And I was like, no, this can't be. So I had to do an even more digging.
Jesus.
Come to find out, the first WWF 3-way was going to happen, I believe, in February of 1996, and it was going to have Bret Hart, Undertaker, and Kevin Nash, which was Diesel at the time.
Nice.
But Kevin Nash got hurt, so they had to do with just Bret and Undertaker, and they tried to, but they were kind of doing it on house shows, but they kind of made it a round robin thing to kind of prolong it. But that was going to be the first one in WWE. But then the first one that they actually did was Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and Sid Vicious. It was a non-televised event, but I believe it is available on one of their DVD sets. So
We made it.
So is it Berenstein Bears or Berenstain Bears? Where does that wormhole take us?
ooh, that's
It's
a
a
dark
different-
wormhole that I don't want to go down.
It's a
But,
different podcast.
I had to get that information out in the world because that actually took about 2.5 hours of my
Nice.
time, and I researched it as soon as Joey Styles said it in the beginning, so I wasted time that I could have spent watching this entire pay-per-view.
You were half an hour away from done.
Yes, I would have been a half an hour away from done, but I decided to look that up and share that with the rest of you, so enjoy that, ladies and gentlemen.
There's going to be a test, everyone.
I hope not. Never good test taker.
It's culturally biased.
So, main event, Shane Douglas versus Sabu versus Terry Funk. Gentlemen, what are our thoughts on this match?
It was long as fuck.
Yeah?
It was a real long match. Not that that was bad, just real long. And I love Terry Funk. He can do no wrong. And Shane Douglas is awesome. Sabu can eat all the dicks, but, whatever.
He did the chair thing a lot.
The whole mess of it. Whole mess of unsafe Sabu stuff.
Well, in the validity of the table spot that involved Todd Gordon
Right.
and Bill Alfonso, like the idea that Sabu was just up on the top turnbuckle waiting
That long?
Hanging out.
just hanging out, and then all of a sudden he doesn't realize that his manager is on the table when he's been clearly looking at the table forever.
Right.
Little suspect.
Yeah.
It was.
could have been cleaned up just a little bit better. Like,
Hey, look over
Faster.
there. What? And then right back in. But no.
but also too, it should be noted that Sabu actually won the title 8 days earlier at an ECW arena event in a barbed wire match.
Right. They did bring that up, though, right? Didn't they say that?
He actually had stitches in his arm,
Right, they
and
talked
was
about
super
it.
glued
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Super
And
glued.
right towards the beginning where they talk about
Yeah.
super glued himself.
Cool.
But yeah, and the part of the reason why they did that, and nobody knows why they even did that, because it was very odd. Like, why don't you just keep the...
For 8 more days.
Yeah, just keep the belt for 8 more days. But apparently the reason they felt that they did that is because Lawler was supposed to be in a 6-man tag at that ECW arena event as a surprise. And they felt like since they didn't have that big surprise to give the arena crowd something big, since they weren't getting a pay-per-view, there's like, we'll give you a title switch and a barbed wire match. But then there's a lot of contention with that is that a lot of the syndicated television networks wouldn't air the barbed wire match in its entirety. So they had to change what they put out on their syndicated programs. So they kind of fucked themselves over to appease 1,200 people. Yeah. Which was very kind of ECW-ish. Sticking to your hardcore fans, appeasing them at the risk of alienating a large amount of people.
Gotcha.
So, to expand. Terry Funk, 53 years old at this time.
Right. I heard him say that. I was like, damn, bro.
Like, amen to him.
I kind of thought he was going to, win it and retire the whole time.
He's going to take it with me.
Yeah. But, it seemed like a classic.
Yeah.
Back and forth, same moves over and over again. How many times can you get out of... I don't know. A lot of 2 counts.
How many belly to bellies can I hit you
with?
with?
That was another one. I was like, they didn't know. Nobody had ever come out of that before. No one's ever survived. Whatever.
No one's ever kicked out.
No one ever kicked out from that.
So Terry Funk did it a fuck ton of times.
Yeah, 7
every time. Forever.
Yes.
Forever.
A lot of 2 counts.
Yes, for sure.
A lot of chairs to the face.
Yeah. And Sabu, I think, the charm of him. People use him as a punchline a lot, but I think the thing you have to remember with him when you see him and, he would, fuck something up, he stepped in the chair and the chair broke, or something happened, or, the mistakes. The mistakes are the beautiful thing about what he does, is because every time he goes for one of those maneuvers, you don't know. It is literally a 50-50 on what he's going to do, and that is the joyous thing. So when he does hit something spectacular, triple jump, jumping out into the crowd.
That was cool.
That's amazing because he's fucked that up, and the fact that he hit it perfectly, you're like, it's either hit it perfectly or I am completely fucking eating shit on this. Yeah. And there is no in between
off
with
that top rope.
That was cool though. I was like, whoa.
That is the joy.
On that.
That is the joy of watching him. And if you see it as that, you can fully enjoy his work.
I think the dude with the whistle makes you hate him though. I think if he wasn't down there blowing the freaking whistle the whole time, you might like him a little bit more.
That's the point. That's why that guy's making all the money. It's because that whistle, and that it still holds true to this day. People with whistles are the worst part about wrestling shows.
I hate it. It's I don't know. It gets in my head. I'm
shut the fuck up.
Stop it.
Favorite part is the trash can with Terry Funk and Shane Douglas. He's back and forth, but hitting himself with one eye, you, me.
Then he goes like this.
And then he just walks away and just keeps doing it.
I could watch that all day.
All day.
All day.
If that could have somehow cost him to get pinned, would have been amazing.
If he did it to himself and then they pinned him?
Yeah, basically, if I ever do a hardcore match again, a trash can's involved, that's the finish, guys. Terry Funk, Shane Douglas, and I just overfunked myself. I just funked up, guys.
Well, that was, I think...
Nice, you should write for that.
I'm
PG-13.
working on my 3 minutes.
You should write for PG-13.
Yes, I should. Oh, man, I wonder what Jamie's doing right now.
Hey, Jamie,
Hey,
Jamie, here's a couple jokes you want to try.
Use this.
But, it's funny you just bring that up. I think the old wrestling spot that we've seen him, you and I have seen him many times, Zane, is the guy gets the chair, he swings the chair at the guy ducks out the way, and he hits the top rope with the chair, and it bounces back into his face. I believe Terry Funk might have been the person that came up with it.
Good, as he should.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I would like somebody to tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I remember seeing him do it, and it leads me to believe that maybe he was the innovator of that.
I would like to see some other asshole go in a big wormhole for 2.5 hours to find out who the first person that hit themselves with a chair was.
Well, I just might be.
Might just be Jake. Might just be Jake.
Somebody has to find out these answers.
Yes.
But he has to get creative like that.
Of course.
He has to get creative like that. You can only punch somebody in the head so many times.
Yeah, he's just a weird dude, too.
Yeah.
He's always known for, just doing crazy, outlandish...
It was fun. It was fun to watch.
Obscure things like that.
Yeah. He's known as a magician in this business.
I believe it. Everybody
But his brother Dory makes an appearance.
sure does.
Yeah. Older brother.
The older brother.
I thought he was gonna hit that chick though. I was like, he's old enough where he don't care.
We could have only been so lucky.
That's when Todd's girlfriend's like hiding, like, oh,
I'm getting way too into it out here, about to jump off the counter,
hit that bitch.
jump off the couch. Came back from being a kid. I was like, after you watch so much of it, you're like, let's just do it. Let's do some of this.
We can do this.
Let's
How
do
hard
some
could
of
it
this.
be?
How hard could this be? Let me just try it out and jump off the couch and elbow drop my brother.
But anyways, Terry couldn't kick out of all of those belly-to-belly suplexes. Shane Douglas wins the title.
Which that next to last one was real sweet, where he tried to like pop him up for it and he turned it into a small package.
Yes.
That was cool as fuck.
That was very good. Especially for a
3 years
53-year-old man.
It looked so smooth. And then he, then the one that actually did it. So.
Yes.
Well, that dude did the 3 count quick. Too,
Yeah. Well,
by the way,
he's probably
that was
like,
a quick 3 count.
if I don't, Terry will kick out again. We've got to go home.
He was. It was like 1, 2, 3. It wasn't like 1, because when they do them early on, it's like
real
1,
slow.
2. This one was like bam, bam, bam. Let's go home.
Terry's still going, come on, motherfucker.
And they gave him the belt. And just,
Yeah, he's screaming motherfucker a whole lot. Bullshit!
he got whipped with the belt.
Just carrying the company on his back. He's 53 years old.
Yep.
But we got to get to the melee at the end, which the Dudleys come out.
As they do.
As they do. They try and get Shane to join the Dudleys. Then the Triple Threat and the Dudleys brawl. Also, too...
Then come random people for...
Well, I think
They were all random to me at this point.
Yeah.
This started a trend of... this might have been the first time they did this, but they definitely did it when Taz lost the belt. That any time that they did a 3-way dance for the title... And I think they might have done this a couple of times, but they definitely did it in Taz's case, is where the person that holds the belt gets eliminated first. So and then they have people from the locker room come out and kind of give acknowledgement to the guy, like, oh, he's no longer going to be the champion. These guys are definitely going to now fight for the championship.
Right, okay.
That's something they definitely did there.
Right.
I think that's something they did here, but they just kind of blended in with the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just seeing people getting in the ring.
Well, it was after the dude made his comeback, right? And then
Yes.
he came back in there and did some stuff, and then the one dude jumped out onto him and the cops, and then people started making their way out.
Yeah, because Sabu's needs all those people to catch him,
Right.
and then this is set up for Sandman and Sabu at the next pay-per-view to set up for that.
Gotcha.
So then everybody gets in the ring, including Thomas Inchworm Rodman.
Yeah.
And of course, Axel and Balls make their way to the ring.
FBI's there.
A bunch of unprotected chair shots.
We'll mess up. Shit ton of double choke slams.
Yep, several of those.
Every choke slam ever.
Just madness all over the place. And then
the most coolest for you, worst experience for me. The gangsters come out.
not the gangsters, just New Jack.
Just New Jack and Kronos for some reason.
Because they team together.
Yeah.
Eventually they team together. You got to see one of the most legendary things in ECW, which is New Jack's entrance, where he just beats everybody's ass with Natural Born Killers playing in the background.
Nice.
That's how a lot of ECW shows ended.
Okay.
Was with Natural Born Killers playing in the background
The entire time.
All right.
the
okay.
entire beatdown. Zane unfortunately did not hear that.
I got the Kid Bop's version of Natural Born Killers, except it was like recently born troublemakers. It was terrible.
One of the lyrics I did hear in there is like "in the ghetto," like they just we have to make the street, so they had to say stuff like that in there.
So aw, damn it.
Because this, I think this is they hadn't figured out the formula that Steve Carino told us about. Because ECW had this formula of how they would end their house shows.
Okay.
It would always be like good guy versus bad guy, and they would be fighting, and then another bad guy comes in, and they throw the match out, DQ. Now it's two bad guys beating up a good guy.
Got ya.
Then another good guy comes in, cleans
music,
out.
yeah.
Then all of us with music,
Right.
boom, 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 boom. Then all of a sudden, they get back on him, or another heel comes in. So now it's 3-on-2. Then another good guy, and then back and forth, so you get to 5 bad guys on 4 good guys, just beating everybody, and the 5 bad guys stand in the ring, we just beat the shit out of everybody. the Natural Born Killers would hit, New Jack would come out and fuck everybody up.
Gotcha.
And then that's how they ended it, and the crowd would go fall for it every single night. Like, it would be this unbelievable encore of like a concert. Like, they had it down to a science as such. So I think this is like the very early days of that happening, because this is when New Jack broke off, and that's all he did. Didn't wrestle anywhere else in the
He
show.
just showed up at
Didn't
the end.
do any wrestling moves except on this run. And first thing he did was an arm drag.
Yeah, what the hell?
Like of all things.
Earn my paycheck tonight, boys. Most over arm drag all night long.
And of course, Saturn does an elbow drop with a torn ACL,
Yeah.
which had just happened in May of '97. So
Kronos starts to dance at some point.
just-
Real bad.
I think they lost me at this point. You know what I mean? Like, you guys know everybody that's running in, but I'm like, all right, it's like a few minutes left. I'm not going to watch the next one.
You're like, oh, there's only 3 minutes. There's obviously nothing can really happen.
Yeah.
That was kind of me too. I was like,
Then
hurry the
they
fuck up.
cut away to the funk dude at the end just bleeding, right?
Yeah.
And then that was
In the
end of
crowd?
The crowd.
Yeah, that's when I was like, all right.
I was like, oh, buddy.
oh, funker.
Oh.
but
it was a melee.
It was
just
a slobber
nuts.
knocker.
Yeah, good word
Slobber
for it.
knocker.
Just ready for it to get over. But and of course they did the 450 on Joel Gertner. That's pretty much how it ends.
Yep.
A couple of quick notes. Let you know the gate of the show was $75,000. Which I figured if the average ticket price was about $40, I'm sure ringside was much more expensive than general admission. So you average that out with the $1,800. That gives you an idea roughly about that, which that seems about right. Let's see. Oh, and merch sales over 6 figures.
Oh, wow.
So that's part of the reason why they could have certain stumbles in places, like the ECW t-shirts, and everybody, this is before like every wrestler controlled their own merch and sold their own merch. Like, it was just ECW making shirts, and they're like, here's a cut of that, and they controlled all of that. So they made a little money that way. So what are your overall thoughts of the show, gentlemen?
Good wrestling show. Stupid everything else. Everything that wasn't wrestling, like the ICP thing, and then the chopper for fuck me. I hope that thing crashes.
Fake chopper.
Yeah, just real dumb. Badly written, greatly executed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Todd, some of the productional things that you saw, still solid show? Still recommend it?
I mean, I thought you guys gave me a good one to watch, to be honest, even though I haven't watched anything in a long time, just because it got a little bit of everything that you would think of when it comes to old school wrestling. And then even like chairs, tables, good technique at points, drama in the middle, and then, the cutaways were real bad. But you get a little bit of everything. It was good for me. It was good, well-rounded one for me to watch. I enjoyed it.
As long as they can just get back to the wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I like that. I like that stuff. I play a lot of wrestling video games. It doesn't count, right?
I'm sure a couple of those matches look like video games.
Yeah, they did. I just kind of gave me like a old school video game feel at some point.
It's kind of how you play when you're like playing it on easy and you're just Bam Bam Bigelow beating the shit out of Spike Dudley.
Or like special move 6 times in a row.
Yep.
Like the belly slam over again, until you can finally pin him. That's what it kind of looked like.
You're right.
Like I can only do my special move. I do it 6 times, then I'll pin him and move to the next level.
Yeah.
And bring out somebody else.
But overall, with even the production issues, just still a good show.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to be honest. Like I said before, I didn't go into it expecting the production to be like awesome. I expected to watch something from the '90s, and maybe I didn't have anything to compare it to, but it didn't overshadow anything else that happened for me.
Wasn't a deal breaker.
No.
But overall, ECW as a whole, like I said, I think you're in that sweet spot in life where it would hit you and interest you. Would you ever be like, hey, I wouldn't mind seeing another ECW show again?
I want to bring it back every now and then. I don't want to elbow drop people. I often mix it in. But like I said, man, the characters and watching wrestling again, like I used to watch it a lot more. Nowadays, I don't know about the characters that they have now. It seems like just like NASCAR or anything else.
But that's exactly what ECW is trying to capture your type of demographic.
Right. Yeah. I would watch something like that again.
Like what you see on WWE right now is very good in-ring product. And
sure.
There's athletically, it's the best it's ever been.
Right.
But it is very polished, cartoony in a sense.
Yes.
To an extent that they've gotten
flaws.
better about that. Yeah, exactly. Like this is very dirty. This is very angry, and it's like in an era where you were very pubescent, you're a young man, listen to like all kinds of, and all your favorite music is there. You got girls, you got lots of violence, blood, all those things, all the things like a jaded, hard person.
Different styles facing each other, and it was fun to watch.
Okay. Well, it's nice to know that somebody that just kind of walks into it, it's like, hey, ECW, I would dig that.
That's cool.
It's timeless almost.
It's timeless in that sense, because it's more of an age thing. Like when I discovered it, I was like, gosh, like I'm so glad I watched it now at this age, because if I would have been watching when it was 14, or like 13 when all that was going on.
Do you see more humor in it now?
Yeah,
I think
I get all of the jokes. I get all of the references.
I laugh. Like before, if you're a kid, you're just like, watching the violent aspect of it. Yeah. Now I'm like, this is kind of funny. Yeah, this is kind of funny.
Well, you can kind of almost appreciate the violence more now that you're almost like, as I get closer to my mortality, that I'm just kind of like as a 13-year-old kid, I'm like, hit each other, do a dive. Can't you just dive higher? Hit more chair shots, guys. But like now, I'm just like, oh God, what about his family?
Does he have insurance?
Oh my God, like
he's on the Obamacare.
Oh, he's gonna have to do hot yoga or something to recover from that. Like there's a sense of understanding
of the human doing it, versus the actual just wrestler.
Yeah. Like I think you appreciate the violence a little bit more as you get older.
Yes, you do.
Like I said, it's that sweet spot.
You don't sit there and picture like some like 5 people that you would love to hit in the face with a chair, like 5 to 7 people that you're like, God, just.
And that's the good thing about professional wrestling. That's why you have the different characters, because there might be somebody that you identify with. There might have been somebody in your life like Shane Douglas that's like, no, I want to see him get his ass kicked.
Right.
Murder him.
Can't do it. I'm not allowed to.
Yeah.
Or you've wanted to pick up a 12-year-old and throw him around like Spike Dudley.
Dude, God.
Which shit is still possible.
If I wake up sweating at night, it's going to be because of that, dude. That was just like, look like this shouldn't be allowed to happen. And then my head was like, how did he beat him the first time?
Makes you want to go back and watch that.
Yeah, that's the only time I would go back. And how did he even do anything?
Why did he do that again?
Ankle lock? Just ankle lock for a half hour?
Yeah. Just ran around in a circle until he got tired.
Exactly. Put the glasses back on.
Well, now that we reach the end, Todd, you have a live microphone in front of you. Please let people know if they've enjoyed you on here, how they can get into contact with you, and the other things that you do in life, and touring, and comedy, and everything else.
Well, Todd Riley. I'm on social media. I'm Facebook, Todd Riley, Comedy Todd, Instagram, Twitter, that stuff. I'm not great at it, but I'm on there. But you can catch my shows. I'm on the road pretty often. Pretty good on stage, so like next weekend I'm at the Funny Bone in Syracuse, and I do travel a lot. I'll be setting up the next 4 months of shows over the next couple weeks. Staying busy. I work for several comedy clubs. So most weekends you can catch me on the road, and then I do post some occasional funny stuff online. But that's pretty much it. Full-time comic.
Mm-hmm. At Comedy Todd?
Yep. On Instagram and Twitter, Todd Riley on Facebook. Shoot me a friend request. I need plenty of friends on there to keep up with me and keep coming out to shows.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you're a 12-year-old that's willing to be launched in the air.
God.
Please.
Sign a waiver. Sign a waiver.
You're real skinny. You don't have to be 12. Just be real skinny.
It's real skinny. I don't even think... God.
Zane, this is going to be dropping this Thursday, as from where we record it. What do you got coming up?
So, like, 2 days Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a George South EWA show in Concord, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. Then the week after, we have PWX in Gastonia, North Carolina.
Okay. The January's pretty light right now. We got a couple things going on.
Yeah, I got stuff, but I don't want to fucking talk about them.
Yeah, we got some. We actually got something very big coming up about how did this get booked. So pay attention to that. And the best way to pay attention to that, or let us know if we've made a mistake, or if you know certain pieces of information, like who did the first move, bounce the chair off the top rope spot, please contact me at ManScoutManning on Twitter, or email me at jake@sslshow.com. And for more information about this show, or merch for the show, we do have how did this get booked t-shirts available, as well as my merch as well, which is available at howdidthisgetbooked.com. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and Google Play, and hey guys, make sure you write a review. Every time you write a review, it gets more eyeballs and earbuds on this podcast, so please do that. Also, to make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/ManScoutManning, or follow on SoundCloud.com/ManScoutManning. It's been another edition of How Did This Get Booked? Woo!